Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket from Rev TV. You'll get every game every Sunday afternoon in crystal clear HD. That's over 220 football games for the entire regular season. Plus, NFL Sunday Ticket gives you up to 8 live games on one screen with Game Mix. You'll get that died and woke up in football heaven experience when you include NFL Red Zone, a channel dedicated to every scoring play from every game and all your fantasy football teams. Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket. Call 601-8992 today.
The health minister denies government is inconsistent when it comes to funding NHI. This as the Prime Minister says government is still unsure how much it will cost. Cooking gas prices expected to dip, plus $13 million in agreements signed for nurses. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Kyle Joaquin, and NB12 starts right now. Welcome once again to NB12. Health Minister Dr. Perry Gomez has denied that government is being inconsistent when it comes to national health insurance and how it will be funded. This after Free National Movement Chairman Michael Pintard suggested the Prime Minister changed his position on the possibility of a new tax. According to Gomez, the government has been saying the same thing all along, that a new tax may be necessary.
To my recollection, I think the government has been consistent. So I don't see the issue with inconsistencies at all. I think the more people that get exposed to ill health, the more they'll appreciate what we're saying. So I don't see any inconsistency at all.
Gomez stressed that universal health coverage is something that the country needs. During a press conference yesterday, the Prime Minister revealed that government is considering introducing a new tax to fund national health insurance in the next fiscal year. He said once the government enhances public health care services, it would be easier for the Bahamian people to stomach a new tax. We asked Gomez today if he feels the same way.
Yes. I mean, in some way or form, the government will have to pay. I don't think you might be confusing individual payment for service with the government having to pay.
Back on February 23rd, Gomez said in Parliament that when it comes to NHI, a tax is better than death, asserting that many people die because of their inability to afford health care. F&M Chairman Michael Pintard yesterday said the Prime Minister has been inconsistent with the timeline and cost of NHI funding, how it will be introduced, and how it will be funded. But he said the greatest inconsistency has been on funding. But while the Health Minister says government has been saying the same thing all along, earlier this year on May 27th, Christie rose in Parliament, hitting back at opposition members who criticized the idea of a new tax to fund NHI.
The government will not impose additional taxation or contributions to fund national health insurance at this time, but rather the introduction of services will be done in parallel with our ability to pay for those services. I don't understand, Mr. Speaker, why some people think we're stupid. On one hand, we're doing this extraordinary job in bringing the economy back. Yes. And then on the next hand, they expect us to do something stupid to plunge it back into recession. Why do they think we're like that?
But on Wednesday, after revealing government is considering a new tax, Christie suggested taxation is always possible, but that government would do it the sensible way that wouldn't disrupt the economy of the country. Government plans on implementing NHI in phases beginning January 1st. However, Gomez was unable to tell NB12 today when they anticipate to see the final phase of NHI rolled out.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. It's a constantly evolving thing. Once you set up NHI, it continues to evolve over generations. If you look at countries that have it for a long time.
Well, Prime Minister Perry Christie has admitted government still does not know how much it would cost to fully fund the scheme. While several figures have been thrown out in recent months, Christie says consultants from Santa Jess and PricewaterhouseCoopers have been brought in to work with health officials and the insurance industry to determine NHI costs. Wani Toot reports.
As concern mounts over the proposed cost of national health insurance and government's plans for funding it, Prime Minister Perry Christie admits the exact cost is still unknown, but told reporters the NHI task force is in the process of determining how much it will take to fully fund the scheme.
The industry and the Medical Association have questioned the government's use of figures and amounts and saying they disagree or they are concerned, if they don't disagree, with our costs. What the government has indicated is that in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, we, the people of our country, and its agencies, and its private sector, ought not to have a disagreement over costs.
Government consultant Sanagest has estimated NHI could cost anywhere from $362 million to $633 million annually. However, the Bahamas Insurance Association put the annual cost at around $1 billion. Christie said Bahamians will not understand any kind of division between the government, BIA, and medical association. That's why he says government has brought in the experts.
The government has mandated Sanagest. We have brought in PricewaterhouseCoopers, renowned accountants worldwide, to enable us to arrive at what the cost can be projected to be. Nothing is perfect.
Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Delon Brennan added that stakeholders will come together to agree on a final figure.
We're using our consultative groups both with the consultations through Sanagest, with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and attempting to get as much information from the private health insurance industry as possible to be able to inform exactly what the costs are for us so that we can inform the Bahamian people what these costs are and what the implications are going to be going forward.
Christie revealed yesterday that government is considering introducing a tax to fund NHI in the next fiscal year. Government is expected to implement the plan in phases beginning January 1st, 2016. During an NHI meeting at the office of the Prime Minister Wednesday, Christie stressed he is not interested in a fight with the industry and made it clear government will not place jobs at risk.
We understand hundreds of people, maybe over 1,000, are employed in the industry, and there is no attempt or interest or intention on our part to threaten that industry's existence.
Christie says he intends to address the matter during the next budget exercise. The Prime Minister said the public will be continually updated on the progress of the NHI committee ahead of the January 1st implementation. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonik Tood.
The president of the company that owns the SLS Lux at Bahamar has confirmed that his company is willing to consider taking over the former Rosewood property. SBE Entertainment President Arash Azabarzin told Guardian Business that if necessary to prove its commitment to the Bahamar project, the company would be a good suitor for that property. However, Azabarzin made it clear that it was Prime Minister Perry Christie's idea for his company to take on the new property, not his. It appears that Christie raised the possibility of SBE taking over the Rosewood during the closed-door discussions between the parties to the stalled project. Azabarzin and SBE CEO Sam Nazarian were in Nassau on Monday and met with Christie and Tourism Minister Obi Wilchcombe and others. Speaking with Guardian Business from Los Angeles yesterday, Azabarzin hinted that if SBE does take over the Rosewood, it could be under a different brand. Meanwhile, Azabarzin said his property won't open in 2015, but he still hopes to receive guests in 2016. He told us the SLS Lux at Bahamar had been 30 to 40 days away from opening when work stopped on the $3.5 billion mega resort in February. According to him, the resort really is 97% complete and could definitely restart very, very quickly. Well, residents throughout the Bahamas could expect to see a dip in the price of cooking gas effective today. This according to the chairman of price control, E.J. Bowe. During a press conference this morning to announce the reduction of liquefied petroleum gas, Bowe stated the administrator responsible for consumer protection, Shane Gibson, recently signed the regulation to lower the price of LPG in 2015, and residents in New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Family Islands would now be paying much less for more. Simone Davis reports.
As the government announced earlier this year that it was considering reducing the cost of price-controlled LPG, the PCC confirmed that effective today, residents would notice a major dip in those prices. Chairman of the PCC, E.J. Bowe, said consumers in New Providence and Grand Bahama would be saving $17.50 on the 100-pound cylinder, while Family Island consumers would be saving up to $18.25.
The maximum selling price of LPG, where the sale is by cylinder, is as follows. in New Providence and Grand Bahamar. The supplier's price is $60 per 100 pound, watt inclusive, delivered. The distributor's price is $90 per 100 pound, watt inclusive, delivered.
Those living in the Family Islands would only pay $10 more, including sea freight.
Family Islands. The supplier's price is $70 per 100 pound, watt inclusive, including sea freight. Distributor's price, $100 per 100 pound, watt inclusive, including sea freight.
And instead of paying the original price of $107.50, consumers in New Providence and Grand Bahama would now see a reduction of 16.3%. And instead of paying $118.25, those on the Family Islands would see a decrease of 15.4%. But good news for motorists as well. It may soon cost you much less to fill your vehicle with gas as the Price Control Commission monitors the drop in the international market and anticipates that Bahamian consumers may soon be paying less than $4 for a gallon of gas.
I don't know if you've been monitoring the amendments when we publish them in the newspapers. However, we were expecting them to be much lower than they presently are. But of course, you know, there were some other factors involved in that constitute to the buildup of these prices that probably keep them at the level which they presently are. But we are anticipating that with the fall in the market, in the international markets, that in due course we will see prices below $4 in short order.
McKenzie said they are unable to give an exact date of when prices will drop at this time, but they expect it to be very soon. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
When NB12 returns, a $13 million agreement signed for nurses. Stay tuned.